Why are haters circling Shedeur Sanders after some routine practice footage in Miami? Moments of calm, caught on camera, everyone's got an opinion. But the real story isn't in the clips themselves, it's in how we're choosing to watch. A video surfaced recently showing Shedeur Sanders training in Miami, just part of his off-season grind before Browns camp. Fans noticed a familiar ritual, the way he pats the ball with each drop back. A few quickly branded it as tentative, soft, even. Some dismissed his session as lacking intensity. But those quick takes missed the bigger picture. On X, Twitter, even respected insiders like Dov Kleiman praised Sanders for his work ethic, while haters dug into that same footage for any hint of weakness. Comments read, "That ball pat is going to be an issue," or "He's not an NFL QB." Meanwhile, others countered, calling it a normal quarterback habit. But what really happened in Miami? And why is this clip suddenly stirring up old debates? But what the haters didn't expect was what came next. You can pause any athlete's video mid-motion and make it look like failure. That's the curse of viral footage in the social media age. Context disappears the second a clip leaves the field. The now infamous clip of Shedeur patting the ball was likely from a timing drill or footwork session. For quarterbacks, this movement isn't a flaw, it's rhythm. Yet the online criticism ignored all that. Instead, it turned a training moment into a headline. Is Shedeur really ready for the NFL? Some commenters went as far as to say he looked too relaxed, too distracted, or not hungry enough. But you don't hear that when it's footage of Trevor Lawrence throwing in a hoodie. You don't hear that when Brock Purdy is casually lobbing post routes in a gym. Why? Because there's something different about Shedeur, something that makes people want to challenge him harder. But insiders quickly jumped in to correct the narrative. Former NFL quarterback Kurt Benkert tweeted in support of Sanders, calling the criticism wildly exaggerated. Multiple coaches explained that the movement wasn't an issue, but just an athlete in his own groove. Even if it were a flaw, it was one practice, not a game, not even minicamp. But to critics online, it didn't matter. Because once the footage leaked, it wasn't about mechanics anymore, it became personal. Still, the noise only got louder. Being Deion Sanders' son is both a privilege and a curse. You inherit the spotlight, but also the expectation to shine inside it 24/7. Shedeur isn't just a quarterback. He's a symbol, a target, and every pass, every pause, every Instagram story gets dissected with twice the intensity. That's what happens when you carry a last name like Sanders. For every college highlight that proved his elite arm, there were whispers, he's only starting because of his dad. For every fourth quarter comeback, people claimed the opponent was weak. And now, with a single 30-second clip from a private session, they say he's not ready for the pros. The reality, there's a double standard. Caleb Williams can have a subpar game, and analysts will say he's still developing. Arch Manning can struggle in scrimmage, and the excuse becomes he's adjusting. But with Shedeur, every movement becomes proof that he's not the real deal, and yet that microscope didn't break him, it sharpened him. Shedeur grew up with expectations towering over him. And while the critics hope pressure will expose a flaw, what if it's actually forged his edge? But Shedeur didn't stay silent. You can freeze frame any athlete and make it look like lack of intensity. That's the social media trap. Remove context, inflate opinion. The now viral Miami clip shows Shedeur patting the ball between drops. Some on social media immediately labeled it slow, soft, or unfocused. But anyone familiar with QB training knows that rhythm matters, especially in timing and footwork drills. What critics saw as hesitation was likely deliberate cadence practice. On platforms like X, even insiders challenged the backlash. Former QB Kurt Benkert pushed back, calling it wildly exaggerated. Other pro voices pointed out that this was a routine session and no different than how other quarterbacks train behind closed doors. The issue wasn't the footage, it was the reaction. In today's clickbait climate, a 15-second snippet can define public opinion. But this snippet, it quietly exposed how quick people are to judge. Still, the noise only got louder. Here's the deal. Shedeur carries more than a football, he carries a legacy. He's Deion's son, and that name lights up stadiums and media rooms. But it also magnifies every move. Every highlight gets glowing praise. Every misstep turns into proof he's undeserving. And the leaked clip? It became fuel for the doubters. They didn't just see a QB at work, they saw an opportunity. Compare him to other touted QBs, Caleb Williams or Arch Manning, and you see how Shedeur's measured closely under a stereotypical bias. Star QB stereotypes don't always fit, and deviation sparks criticism. But what about Miami QB Cam Ward? They clashed when Ward called him out on a water break, accusing him of bullshitting. NewYorkPost.com report shows the exchange, but it also underlined how every move, every rest, every comment becomes ammunition. Pressure for Shedeur isn't optional, it's standard. But that pressure didn't crush him, it carved him. But Shedeur didn't stay silent. Did Shedeur Sanders respond to the Miami practice criticism directly? Not with his mouth, but with something more powerful: silence. He didn't post a defensive tweet, he didn't do a reaction video, and he didn't clap back at the critics. Instead, he kept showing up, quietly, consistently. That alone sent a message louder than any tweet ever could. According to the Pivot podcast, Ryan Clark even said he'd take Shedeur right now over Dak Prescott, calling his potential undeniable. That's not hype. That's a former Pro Bowler speaking from a place of football knowledge and emotional awareness. Meanwhile, Shedeur's behind-the-scenes leadership was becoming impossible to ignore. During Brown's OTAs, he was filmed meticulously organizing his locker, keeping quiet in meetings, and absorbing lessons from veteran Joe Flacco. He wasn't playing social media games. He was earning trust the old-school way. And when asked about the starting role, he simply said, "If I'm starting week 1, it's not because of my name, it's because I'm the best one for the job." No bravado, no ego, just confidence. And guess what? Then the receipts came in. That leaked footage, it was just a sliver of what Shedeur was doing. Because when it came time to actually perform at Brown's minicamp, he delivered. During red zone drills, Shedeur went 7 for 9 with 3 touchdowns in tight coverage situations. And it wasn't just stat padding. The throws were described by insiders as elite placement, tight window mastery, and next-level poise. NFL scout Mike Tannenbaum even said on the NFL Report, if he were named anything other than Sanders, we'd be putting him top 10 after what we've seen in camp. Let that sink in. He was one of the most hit quarterbacks in college football, yet still maintained a TD/INT ratio better than most first-round picks. And yet critics wanted to judge him off a casual workout clip. It doesn't add up, unless the criticism was never really about the football. What this really shows is that numbers don't lie, but haters sure do twist the narrative. And that brings us to the deeper truth: let's be real. Part of the backlash against Shedeur isn't about football at all. It's cultural, psychological. It's what happens when a young black man walks in with swagger, money, and legacy and dares to own it. There's a certain discomfort some fans and analysts have when they see a confident quarterback with iced-out chains, designer outfits, and a father who won't play by the rules. That discomfort quickly mutates into criticism. But that's not new. We've seen it with Cam Newton, with Lamar Jackson, with Deion himself. Shedeur's confidence doesn't mean he's cocky. It means he's not shrinking himself to fit anyone else's expectations. Remember that Miami QB Cam Ward called him out for a water break. The clip went viral, but what it really revealed was how eager people were to portray Shedeur as lazy, even when he said nothing. This isn't a football critique. It's a test of perception. And Shedeur, he's been passing it since high school. As Richard Sherman said, when they can't find a reason to knock your play, they'll come after your personality. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. But this story isn't done yet. It's just getting started. Here's what the haters forgot. That practice footage wasn't the whole story. It was the beginning of one. Shedeur Sanders is currently competing for the Cleveland Browns starting role. And he's not just a camp body. He's pushing veterans. He's learning fast. He's winning reps. The Browns coaching staff has been tight-lipped, but insiders from Orange and Brown Talk suggest that Shedeur is already outpacing expectations for a rookie. And let's not forget, Deion Sanders has never been subtle about his son's ambitions. Shedeur is a franchise quarterback, period. That's what Coach Prime said. And if you followed Deion for any length of time, you know he doesn't say things he doesn't believe. Shedeur isn't trying to be the next great quarterback. He's working to be the first Shedeur Sanders, and that means rewriting the narrative. With every rep, every snap, every so-called flaw. The footage leaked. The haters barked. But Shedeur, he's building his moment, and soon he'll own the spotlight they tried to weaponize. If there's one thing we've learned about Shedeur Sanders, it's that he doesn't let outside noise dictate his story. He listens, but he doesn't react. And that's what makes him terrifying to the people rooting against him. This leaked footage, it wasn't a setback, it was a spark. Another reminder that he's being watched, judged, and underestimated every step of the way. And that's fine, because Shedeur thrives in that space. He's been doubted before. When he transferred from Jackson State to Colorado, people said he couldn't compete at the Power 5 level. When he faced USC, he went toe-to-toe with Caleb Williams and outshined him in big moments. Ronner, when NFL analysts said he wasn't first-round material, he brushed it off and dominated his pro day instead of the combine. Every time the world has written him off, Shedeur has rewritten the script. And now, he's entering the NFL with something most rookies don't have: a chip on his shoulder and a full highlight reel of proving people wrong. That chip? It's only getting sharper. Let's fast forward. Training camp is around the corner. The Browns' quarterback room is stacked. Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson, and Cam Ward are all names with real weight, but none of them carry the buzz, the social pressure, or the storyline that Shedeur Sanders does. Fans are split. Analysts are debating. Coaches are watching. And Shedeur, he's preparing. Quietly, relentlessly. Whether he starts week 1 or sits behind Flacco doesn't matter. What matters is that every opportunity he gets, he executes. Because the world isn't giving him anything for free, and he's not asking. Even the podcasts can't stop talking about him. Colin Cowherd says Shedeur has all the tools, but will need to survive the politics. Richard Sherman calls out the media for giving other QBs a pass that Shedeur never gets. Ryan Clark believes Shedeur should be the face of a franchise now. This isn't hype anymore, it's movement. Every pass he throws in practice, every subtle play he makes, it's all being tracked. Because the truth is, whether people love him or hate him, they're watching. And as Deion famously said, you don't gotta like us, but you will respect us. The Miami clip was never the real story. It was the trigger, an excuse for the haters to do what they were already waiting to do, doubt Shedeur Sanders. But here's the truth. Ryan Clark believes Shedeur, it didn't prove anything about his mechanics. Ryan Clark, and it didn't change his future. What it did, it revealed something else entirely. It exposed how threatened people are by confidence that doesn't apologize, by legacy that doesn't fold under pressure, by a young black quarterback who refuses to dim his light just to be liked. Shedeur isn't perfect. He's still learning, still growing, still grinding. But one thing is certain, he doesn't just play football, he carries weight. And that weight, he's carrying it right into the NFL. So when the noise starts again, and it will, you'll know what's really happening. They're not scared of what Shedeur is, they're scared of what he's becoming. When you're built different, the noise becomes background music. If you enjoyed this, I'm gonna be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.